in the recent studies of female studies, the research, they finally determined that it's the man's sperms that has a time clock.
I don't do
and this is what you're talking about.
Cool.
Let me give you homework. It's not that the woman will not undergo menopause.
Got an scriptural. Abraham.
That is why it is considered a miracle.
Mosaic.
That is why it is considered a miracle.
Jambo, we are back like we never left, and this being the 11th and second last month of the year, we have quite a number. Top of the list being the child justice awareness. Then we have GBV and the 16 days of activism, NONAT. But just before we get to our matters of discussion, I'll let our guests introduce themselves. Alafu tutangoa nanga. Karibuni sana.
Thank you so much. Can I start?
Yes.
My name is Gloria Munyiva. I once more, thank you for inviting me. It's not my first time. And it's a pleasure to always be here. Should I say what I do?
Yes.
Sawa. First, I am the founder of a movement called Ladies Assemble that is mostly for university ladies who are trying to access the academic inequality through different issues stemming from SGBV issues to access to sanitary products. And apart from that, I am working with an organization that deals with young women, especially young girls who have already dropped out from school because of early teenage pregnancies. So it's something that we're trying to work on. Yeah. And today's topic, I think it's something very close to my heart.
Oh, very well. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimathi, also for having me today. And it told me that it's my first time to be here. So thank you for the privilege. I am called Latta Hussein, a student at the University of Nairobi, pursuing laws. So I am a person who wears very many hats. I also advocate for the rights of people. And I think today's topic, it's interesting because we are going to discuss on everything that does with the gender-based violence. And we are here also to offer solutions. Apart from discussing the issues, we need to provide solutions on how we are going to get away from this thing. So I think it's an opportunity we can be able to educate everyone on what we are supposed to do. Thank you.
Very well. I think with that said, we can start. Tuanze ngombe wapi, mbele, nyuma. I think it's safe enough for us to begin from South Africa with all the purple profile photos and the pictures. What's not happening? It's been a meme bana. Hata uweke profile ya purple.
Watu watuli.
Tunadhani ni kotu kidogo.
We are confused.
Yeah. So what do you guys think is going on? And is there progress really?
Yes, there is. So the purple profile was a tool that was used by the South Africans in terms of trying to push the government to declare femicide and gender-based violence against women in South Africa as a national disaster. So what they did it before the assembling of the G20 summit, because they knew if they use the G20 summit, it will delay V2.
Yeah.
People will have to, the cars will be stopped, and there's traffic, and now just to ensure that there's that push for the national leaders to recognize this problem.
At least the punch.
Yes, because imagine every 2.5 hours in South Africa, a woman is buried because of domestic violence or gender-based violence. And it's something that was not really considered by the government in terms of security matters. And now the purple profile was for us and other people of the, African and the entire world, was showing solidarity to South Africa as they try to venture this thing. Yeah.
Before we get Latta's opinion, is that whether we do have a purple profile photo, it all boils down to the effort. What are we doing? We could have the purple profiles and the ratio still is after every 2.5 hours, we lose a lady to to violence. So I think it's important that you have mentioned it is for solidarity. I think it was a discussion we had sometimes back that does having a purple profile picture save a life?
It does.
That's what I was wondering also.
Because at the end of the day, if we have a purple profile photo and the guys who are not willing to have a fight against GBV as actively as they want to fight corruption, and then we are doing zero work, we will just have purple profiles and then get back to zero work.
Mnaanza kuniguzia palipo. But you see, something that you need to know, do you know that we had men who felt that it is too femicide or too female related that they started using green flag and green profile?
Hiyo tunaweza elezea.
No. Just to distract the fact that we do have an issue in femicide cases. I'll take this as a question. We have November, apart from the child's justice awareness, we also have the men's mental health. Do you have a women's mental health month?
I think all these other months are dedicated
we are going to
their mental health.
There's a reason as to why we have a specific month for men's mental health month. And it's the reason is we saw that there's a need for men's mental health to be taken seriously, from the safe spaces to men's health being actually considered, mental health being considered. Forgive me for that. Yes, men's mental health being considered. And that's why this month was considered for that, to ensure that all the activities from the National Action Plan to civic societies can focus on that. So why would you feel it's a competition if we put profile pictures? And kama ingekuwa hiyo profile kuweka purple profile pic, mngekuwa mnaijua kweli?
Ngoja, before we get to you, Latta, what comes to mind ukisikia GBV, gender based?
Okay, for me, there's this notion that has been going through. People are inclined to think that it's a female-based violence. Because
Exactly.
everybody's just shouting about these ladies have been done what, the girls have been done this, but men are not being taken care of.
Yeah, the real conversation around the GBV, it's a two-way thing.
This is gender. It is not female or girl-based. The word is clear. I don't know why we are always inclined to think that it is only female who are undergoing these things.
May I answer?
No, let me first finish my submission.
Yes.
Another thing, there was a certain video that was going viral. There was a lady who was holding a knife and wanted to kill the man. And the man was always going with
a pillow,
it was a pillowcase. He was trying to defend himself. But that was never talked about. But let us listen, when a woman is slapped, gender-based violence, women are...
Kunambaka starts every 2.5 hours.
They are telling us, they are going into details which because of a slap, but nobody talks about that man who was to be killed by a lady. Nobody talks about it.
No,
that's another problem that we need to face it. Okay? So in as much as we are also advocating for gender-based violence, but let us have the reason behind this thing is to have an equal gender. Is it? So the moment we try to say that, I understand that women are emotional and everything, and they are themselves
emotional. Correct yourself first, Wakili, before we proceed. Aren't you an emotional being?
I am emotional, but you people,
toa your stereotype.
Kuna mali nafikanga wanatuambia be a gentleman, you are a man enough. Mtu akikujia na kisu wewe unaweza jidefend, mwanamke anakufanyia nini? You see, then when I try to defend myself, naambwa mimi najaribu kunini wanawake.
Okay, I think the thing is for us to have an equal conversation around GBV is that a lot of stuff has to be brought down from the usual.
May I interject, because what I'm getting here is a systemic failure. Yeah. Let me start by addressing this. I am not advocating for gender violence against men. That's the point number one.
Thank you for that.
What I'm simply saying is, when we had Black Lives Matter issue, did we say just because a white man was killed by a black man, it's supposed to neutralize the fact that we have a Black Lives Matter issues in US? Same thing for femicide. Simply, that's what we're trying to say. And I gave you a background as to why I am really close in terms of gender-based violence. The reason as to why femicide, apart from femicide being on the rise, it's the fact that every time women know how to organize themselves and to vote for rallies, we have never said that it's not for men. When was the last time have we ever seen a rally of men saying we are also condemning androcide? You see, even in the African Union
Ngoja hata unaweza kuta
Convention.
Latta ako na join inaitwa android.
exactly. You see, and that's the reason as why I'm saying we will address it later on the solutions on how to ensure this is there. But my main concern is the fact that we do have a rise in femicide cases. It's not that there are no androcide cases. There are, in fact, a lot of androcide cases. But it's alarming the number at which we have for femicide cases. What is femicide? Femicide is the killing of women based on their gender. And let's redefine it. Killing of women by men because of gender. Androcide is killing of men by women because of gender.
Okay, let me ask you something. What do we call when a fellow female kills another woman?
It's what is it called?
Is it still femicide? Because
No,
you're
you
just
see,
it's male.
That's why I've said. And for androcide is a male being killed by a woman.
I mean, there's too much wisdom in the air.
No, but because you see, the first
I'm being
thing
confused.
the first thing is wacha niseme kwa Kiswahili. Femicide ni mwanamke kuuliwa na mwanaume juu ya jinsia yake ya kuwa jinsia kike. So,
I think by saying because she's a woman, then translates to I'm killing you because you are a woman. But femicide would be if the same person being murdered was a gent, they wouldn't die.
what are you saying?
As in, are you trying to say that femicide is the type of murder that is as a result of a gent killing a lady because they are a lady?
And yes, and I will deepen it when we understand the types and forms of GBV. So tukifika hapo kwa hiyo swali, I will be able to elaborate the types of GBV and why it's connected in terms of gender. Sawa.
Okay, but globally, let me just say there's been a trend maybe just in the few months we were able to see some people wenye walikuwa wanakutoka kwa magunia wamekatwa. It's not that we are supporting it. We are also against such thing. We don't encourage such things. But I think the moment that thing ile kitu came up immediately walikuwa wanasema there has to be a man that is behind this. It has to be a man.
But it was confirmed it was a man.
Before even it was confirmed. You need to leave the investigation kwanza ifanywe and everything. But even before there was a
predetermined.
Yeah.
No, if the last, you what wakili, sindio? If the last person that a person is killed, come and say it's a man, then anakuanga suspect. If it was a woman, even the woman is a suspect.
Yes.
Sijui kama unaelewa. So if it's a lady that was with this woman, it wouldn't have been a femicide. The presumption of femicide is because the last person that this girl was with was a man. The same thing if it was vice versa. You see, what you're doing here, Wakili, both of you Wakili, is trying to lessen the magnitude or the serious concern of femicide cases. And I do understand. It's because we haven't understood it yet. Tukishaelewa tutaacha kuwa na hizo bats.
Okay, it's not about the bats, it's a different POV from the conversation. Yeah. But I think we could proceed to understanding.
I need to make it clear.
Yeah.
We have never said that it is a good thing that is going. No. We discourage it and we are calling it out that it is not the right thing. But men have always been told to be the casualties of this thing. Why does it have to be men?
Okay, I think.
May I give case studies?
Okay, before we will proceed to case studies after discussing the various forms of GVB, gender-based violence, that is. And before we get to that, is that it is indeed a collective responsibility, a pull effort from all ends to have the fight against gender-based violence. Actually, it's that femicide cannot be conducted by a woman, but if both the genders really do agree to fight these things seriously, we could kick it out of this planet.
Exactly.
So we will then proceed to the different types of GBVs.
Yeah.
And then tumeongea mambo ya South Africa kidogo. We could look at our country Kenya. Of
Definitely.
course, the trending case of Usinipigie Bwana. What happens, we want to fight gender-based violence, but then there are times that these things happen in more or less private spaces. So inasikia mambo ya watu wawili Munyiva usiingilie.
When you share duvet.
Yeah, watu share duvet. Duvet ya grey. Hapana jaribu. So Latta, what do you think? I know we have the fight that should be public on gender-based violence, but then some of these things are in private spaces, and it's an article in the Constitution 31, right to privacy.
True.
So do you protect your right to privacy ukiwa unapigwa ama what happens? What do you think, especially
for the
legal
benefit
scholar
of the viewers? Si mnaweza tuambia nini ilifanyika kwanza? Maybe kuna wenye hawakuweza kufikia hiyo nini. What really happened?
With regards to hiyo kitu tunaita right to privacy is that kwa a conflict, a marriage conflict, that a legal marriage is between a gent and a lady. So bibi alipigwa, bibi kupigwa kidogo, familia ama hata marafiki wakaingilia. Sasa wao wamekuja comeback, tunakurudishia tena. Bibi anasema muse nichapie bwana. So I know this might be the one recorded scenario, but there are a number of scenarios like that. Hata vice versa, even if the genders will be, the scenarios will be shifted or reversed, is that it is not it is not out of space that something like that is supposed to happen. So where do we get the balance between the right to privacy and the fight against gender-based violence? And before you answer that, is there really privacy once you have committed this kind of violence? Ati hii ni mambo yetu, acha tutaongea hata kama tumepigana. What do you think, especially as a law student?
Wow. I think as you have just stated, starting from Article 31, you have just stated about privacy. There are things that require somebody's autonomy. In as much as I'm inclined or we are married, there are things that I have to do on my own. You see? So in as much as we are trying to protect the privacy and everything, everybody also has their own choices and the way they want to do things. And to do with you have talked about being equal and everything. So I don't think that I will encourage such thing. But
mambo yao hiyo.
I don't think we need to intrude much to that.
Yeah, Gloria and
personal affairs. So acha Gloria tusaidie.
Social worker here.
Kazi kwako.
Well, I do agree. Mambo ni ya watu wawili. So when we usually train students or different clubs on on the different forms of GBV and how to address issues, the first issue of the victim is, if the victim does not want to, you can't force.
Kanyagia.
Maybe alikuwa ataka umshtue and then usare hapo. If haja kuambia tumpeleke koti, don't. Yeah, you will be very embarrassed.
Atasamehewa.
Kama yeye mwenyewe
Unfortunately, I do agree with him. The realistic part of it's the same thing when someone is a victim of sexual assault. You can't force the victim to what is it called? Sue the offender. You can't. If they feel that they just wanted to be taken to the hospital, be checked if everything is okay, and given the counseling and they are done, you can't do anything about it. And you see now that's the issues, because majority, even in Kenya at the moment, majority of the femicide cases and the GBV cases are done by the perpetrators are someone close to the victim. So it's something that we're trying to find a solution.
Yeah, basically not everything has to be litigated upon.
So wanaangalia hata vitu kama alternative dispute resolution ama mna...
It depends. Kuna watu wenye wana prefer kuseme kwa pastor, ishe, ama ufungie kwa chief.
Unajua kusema kwa pastor ni hatari. Yo.
Kubiri la Sunday, and some decide to do it chief, some call for mediators.
Na alafu unajua the other alternative dispute resolution method zinakonga very fast. Ukienda kotini they'll set a date, utakawia and the thing will not be.
Alafu bado mko kwa nyumba tu hapo na kesi inaendelea.
Unaona sasa to avoid
your bed sitter.
Ikishindikana hizo mambo zote ndio maybe sasa we can.
Na mnashare blanket.
Na wakili wako anakupigia.
Adicho iko na echo, like
hawezi picha.
This is sad. It's not something for anyone.
Wow. So we really need to get to a point of convergence that is a burning issue. But in most cases, the perpetrators in most of these GBV scenarios are people who are close.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately,
having active action against them becomes a tricky situation. It reminds me that I went through a report by KU law students. It says that 60% of all male inmates in the Republic of Kenya are in for SOs, sexual offenses. So that will tell you that a majority of the number of male inmates we have crimes that are related to the other gender. So we really have a situation we need to work on. I'm not saying that the male gender have a problem, because I have not seen a report that is inverse to this one. I'm sure
iko.
Haiwezi kosa.
Haiwezi
We
kosa.
will do our homework well.
Unaweza kuta hata ni kitu 70-80% hivi.
You see, last year 2024, we had at JQuat, we held a conference on SGBV. It was SGBV Fashion Week in collaboration with the Badili Africa organization. And what happened, I was in the panel. So there were these guys who are saying, we're only saying that 900, we have over 900 deaths of women in Kenya in terms of femicide. And the total number of people who died by, death in terms of being killed, I think 1,000 and something, or is it? No, it was a huge number. Forgive me, I can't remember. Which means they thought that the number that has remained ni wanaume. Wanasahau kuna the same gender. And like the homicide cases, it was really sad.
To throw 900 day to deficit.
Which means men dokomo, and such issues are really shallow.
I think another challenge we face, not just as a country but also globally, is 1, lack of information, 2, misinformation, and 3, disinformation around these things. So you find...
And 4, ego. And patriarchy. And it's not even patriarchy, it's narcissism. I'm so sorry to say this. Please allow me. This is experiences that we've had. So we wanted to do a femicide march. Remember, also from JQuat, we've lost a couple of students from femicide cases. So we wanted to do a femicide candle lighting. Let me tell you, in the social group, JQuat, Mzima, tulitusiwa left, right, and center. We were cast. Men were telling us we will grow old to be single mothers, and if we bear sons, they will be cast too, because they'll have us as our mothers. and that was because there was a guy who was, I think, a JQuat student who tried to stab and kill the girlfriend because they had a disagreement. And then dem hakudedi, but alidhani amededi. And the neighbors had. So the neighbors were banging the door saying, tukikushika, we are killing you. So this guy ran away, managed to sneak out, go to his house and try to commit suicide. But by the time...
But pia ya kukufa pia.
And then, the interesting part is, it was on the Monday of the Friday that we are having the candle lighting. And now the men in the group, including my fellow colleagues who are serving, from the previous Congress, walikuwa zile za, what do you mean you're having a femicide case? Did the girl die? You're just supposed to have a men's mental health month. I'm wondering, what are you saying? What the possibility?
What is this one saying? What is this one saying?
I want to say one, because I'm wondering, no, just because the girl did not die, is now a reason for you to...
femicide, mngoje, ijakuwa crime.
Ijakuwa hajadedi, eka men's mental health month. And now that brings me to the other issue of justifying that you're killing or hurting someone just because they either abused you or cheated on you. That one has to be talked about. And even in the media, even the women, in terms of if you're seeing your man cheat, you don't have the right to hit that man.
Maoni, Latta maoni. Latta toa maoni.
Okay, see, I'm jafosio kaa pamoja, unaona? So kuliko muwane and such bad thing happen, kama mmechokana,
mtashikanishwa na glue.
Kila mtu aende afanye mambo yake. So, instead of sijui mnajifungia kwa nyumba nyote mnajiua or commit it won't solve anything either. Unaona? Umemuua alafu, what has happened?
Nothing has happened. And there's something umetaja that we have to look at. Gender wars. If it's ego, the only reason we have it time and time again is that ego is two-way. iko huku na huku.
Definitely.
We have gender wars. You have bana, you're not being a gentleman. What kind of gentleman is this? Hakuna hiyo. And then there's the other side of it. Hawezi nifanyia hivyo. So we really have to look at it from one, the gender wars. And I think personally, my opinion would be this gender wars are fueled from will it be historic point of view, cultural
point,
that there are roles and expectations.
Correct.
The fact that we are human beings, we are all have the right to dignity and have that dignity respected, regardless of the gender you not even subscribe, the gender you are born. You're born in.
Definitely. I see what you did.
Yeah. The gender you're born in is that uheshimiwe tu hivyo. So what do you guys think? I think if we would sort that, the gender wars and roles and all that stuff, not that culture is a bad thing, but that will go a very long way in ending GBV as a whole. Yeah?
Yeah. Would you like to start?
First of all, hiyo yenye nimesema ati if they have an issue they can just separate. As Africans, maybe we are doctrinated into tuseme religion and everything, which does not encourage just moving out into a relationship anyhow.
Ni hivyo. Until death do us part. Ndakupeleka.
Wazazi wanaona mtoto anasema ati tunakaa kitu kikosana kila mtu aende kwake, kidogo inakaa unethical or everything. But instead of having the hiyo harm kubwa zaidi, we can try first to talk our issues out. If it's not working at all, that should be the last resort that we can go to. But first let us try to talk our issues out and everything. About hiyo mambo ya gender, unajua pia as Africans kuna ile tumekuwa inclined, tumegrow up tukiambiwa wewe ni mwanaume, there are certain things you need to do. Alafu kitu kingine, I don't know if I'm wrong to say this, pia wanawake wana encourage ikiwa favor. For example, when we go to, let's say, a restaurant with Gloria, hata kama hata isema inaonekana ni mimi ndo nafaa kulipa bills bila hadi kusema. Haifai kusemwa. Inakonga silent. Sawa.
What is he saying?
Hiyo inakonga silent hadi haifai kushautiwa. But ukikuja kwa tuseme kuna vile wanataka kukwepa responsibilities. But ukikuja vitu zingine that's why we need equal. Kwani kulipa bill equal imetoka mbona hapo atuangalie equity basi. Kama so that's my issue. Naona kama if we are feminist, let us be feminist in everything. Pia sisi mimi for example si ati na staki kukulipia hiyo nini. I want also to empower you, ujitafutie hadi wewe uko uweze kujinunulia in case tukifanyika anything you are able to stand huko kivyako na uweze kujijenga, si ndio?
Wacha niongee.
Lakini nikisema hivyo naonekana mtu mbaya. So when it benefits them, you are a gentleman, you have to pay. Who else will do that? Hadi watu watakuonaje? Ataniambia hivyo, unaona? Lakini
Munyiva, I like to get your input on this before I get my input on this, because I know it is more likely than not that we might not find a point of convergence.
May I? First of all, feminism has never had a theory, a specific theory, ever since memorial, because Western feminism and African feminism have never been the same. We do have similarities, but it has never been the same. In African culture, not all cultures favored actually the men. If you're talking about Zimbabwe ethnic groups, they really favored the women. Women were the ones who were choosing the suitors. Men were wearing makeups. Begin your research. And it's not only about that. There's something about a woman's, let's say, you see, there's something about a man's power, a man's value. And there's something about a woman's value. I don't know if I told you once before, but at that time, I don't know if Google changed. But before, when you used to check on Google search, uangalie, what is a man? Brave, strong, courageous. Hivyo. What is a woman? Curvy. Opposite of a man. You know, someone who has higher pitch voice. Yeah. Something. It never described us with value. And if it did, it was something that was not, let's say, gender neutral. I haven't seen a description of a woman as brave, kind, strong. That one were the heroes of. It wasn't a value of a woman.
You know, I get your point that there's a brave man and a pretty lady.
Yeah. It was that. It was then. And in terms of culture, if you want to find someone who you can split 50-50 with, wako wengi. But But
Mko brave new word.
Mfanye hizo zero. At the same time, no, that's subjective. It's a subjective opinion. If you go to Scandinavian countries, they prefer partnerships 50-50 compared to the man catering for the woman. If you go to Russia, if you tell a man to let the woman pay, they will feel insulted. The same thing as Somali. Same thing as some of the African cultures. It's true, right? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's no longer, you see, this is a gender war that you're having. So we presume both of us have different perceptions. Yeah. You have perceptions as to what a feminist is. And in terms of responsibility, one of the forms of GBV is economic GBV. Economic-based, gender-based violence happens when a woman, most of the time, and I'll speak why for most of the time is a woman, is usually, the man tries to control, or can be the other way around, especially if she's not even earning more than the man, she's earning less than the man.
Or not earning at all.
Yes, or not earning at all, limiting the woman to be able to be dependent. You see how you're trying to empower. Now there are some people who do not want to, because they know if that woman gets empowered, she'll have more freedom. You see, I'm not saying you're a bad, no, you see why we are against economic GBV. You see so it's no longer about gender wars. It's about now the values and the fact that how we take attributes towards different human beings. And lastly, when I'm talking about gender-based violence and economic and feminism, and responsibility, we don't talk about domestic and paid care work. We have this, there was this data that was collected, I think it was earlier this year and last year, where women were giving out, Ivy. The celebrity was asking women there was an Excel sheet, and they were asking stay-at-home mothers to write down the things that they do at home. And if you sit down and you analyze the things that the women, stay-at-home mothers or stay-at-home givers do at home, it's something a lot. It's something that you'd have to pay a nanny to substitute that work, right? Mm-hmm. And therefore, the domestic calling for, against domestic and paid care work, or having rather an agreement with your partner, is what you're calling feminism. Feminism is the choosing the freedom of a woman to choose whether she wants to be a stay-at-home mother or a career or both. Same thing. You see, for how a man unaweza amua kufanya kazi no retire at this age and you're done with it. Yeah. Or how we women, we are ascribed to, once you get married, your man's dream becomes yours. Right? Yeah. So we ensure that you eat, you have clean clothes, you have everything, and we have to stay at your side. Yeah. So we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that as responsibility.
Let us talk about it. Now, as lawyers, Kimathi will tell you that tumeregislate pia kwa hizi vitu zote, na sahi the domestic contribution, it is valuable in the law. Ilifika mpaka kwa Court of Appeal, and it was very clear that even if tulinua kitu tukiwa kwa ndoa na kazi yako ilikuwa ni kulea watoto, that will also account, and in case we divorce, you need to get a certain share. But notion yenye wanawake wanakuwa ati juu tu amekaa kwa nyumba ametekea, she wants a 50%. Yet the man has always been there, alali usiku, yana katu kwa nyumba, ana demand 50%.
Ulipanguza mtoto nini?
The court,
kama pampers hazingekuwa ungesafisha hizo napkins kwa white.
Ninafikiria that decision by the court was a step in the right direction.
Exactly.
Yeah. However,
that's what feminism fights for.
It's not an automatic 50%.
What the court wanted, yes, it's not an automatic 50%. It's an equitable share.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking. Feminism is the fact that we do have to address these issues. Remember, before, it was considered as mandatory once you're married as a woman, unless you have a very understanding, listen, it's not your right, it's a privilege. If you marry a good man, then you're okay if he supports you in your career. Come on, you guys have interacted with some of the men who do not want their girlfriends to be good or wives to be capable or to always depend.
Na sasa hiyo ndio Latta alikuwa anasema mambo ya watu wawili kidogo. Inakuwa tricky.
Kama wewe juu ya mapenzi umeniambia mimi hadi ndaacha kazi yangu nakupenda sana.
Nakuja nikusukume.
Hatukuwa tumeongea hizo mambo yote. Na wewe umesema mimi nakupenda na mimi siwezi kuzuia kunipenda, nataka unipende hivyo.
That's what I'm talking.
Nipende hivyo.
And that's what I'm talking about. Latta, nikikwambia the fact that some of these women do not have this information and therefore have been brought up with the cultural norms, with the factor that they do have to be a good wife is someone who will embrace their husband's project as theirs. So if you do not embrace your husband's project as yours, if you do not let go of your career or slow down your career and raise a family, you're not a good wife. Remember, a man has the option.
Karibu ni agree.
A man has an option. Unaweza ukiwa futi. Sindio, you can first wait.
It's on a time clock. Sasa unajua that is
no,
that is,
but then
kuna vitu hatuwezi badilisha mwanamke unataka kuona kuonekana na futi.
Let me give you a shocker.
Yeah.
In the recent studies of female studies, the research, they finally determined that it's the man's sperms that has a time clock.
I don't do
and this is what you're talking about. Let me give you homework. It's not that the woman will not undergo menopause.
What an scriptural Abraham.
That is why it is considered a miracle.
Mosaic.
That is why it is considered a miracle. That is why it is considered a miracle.
Because that is scientific. We will do our homework on that.
Please do your homework. I'm not saying that menopause will not happen. I'm simply saying it goes two ways. And it's not that the man is free. But since kitambo tulikuwa tunaambiwa, for a man, akisonga hadi career aje.
Acha interject kidogo. Unaona sisi sote, for example, we are born from an African traditions and everything.
Sote ni Afrika hapa, kuna mzungu.
Na alafu tumeenda shule, si ndio? Kama hiyo shule bado haijaweza kuambia Gloria abaintu chenye shule nasema bado anaona chenye culture nasema ni mzuri. Uko na nini yako ya kumkataza?
Let me tell you who's paying for your school fees. Ni shule ama mzazi?
She has the autonomy of doing what she wants. No.
Let's be realistic, Wakili. If you have a sister and you look at the one who's paying for your sister the school fees contributes greatly to what your sister will be thinking of.
Okay, I think collectively we can agree that we could solve the challenge at the learning level. Correct it either at school or at home. Whatever we are taught is whatever we are taught is the deal breaker.
You can take it or leave
you're
it.
You're taught.
Sindio? Ama chenye unafunza unajua you are not forced to abide by what you are taught.
Unless this is why I'm saying the system always favors the patriarchal side. Not every time, but always favors. And this is why when we're fighting for equality, we don't only think about the women, we do also about the men. So when you have these conventions on gender-based violence, the reason as to why female is there, it's because the femicide part is rampant. But at the same time, if you look at the laws and the policies, it focuses on the neutral perspective. Why? Because women know more how to organize themselves. And it's high time people know that. Wakati wa femicide, we were there on the streets with red lipstick and all that. Androcide cases, I'm so sorry, I've never seen a meetup. Not even that, but see webinar on androcide.
Okay,
Kimathi, something interesting I want us to look at. Unaona? Just for example, they are the men who legislate. Wakasema we need to have more female even in the parliament and everything.
Heck
Then
no. May I? Nataka source Wakili.
Yes?
Okay,
Nataka source Wakili.
Okay, before to let a source, I think it's a very good idea to have the 2/3 gender rule in parliament, but gender should not be a criteria for choosing a leader.
Because you are a woman, you have given women represented that seat. By the virtue of being a woman, for heaven's sake, go and compete with men. Go and be that president.
And that's why we have governors who are female governors. The reason as to why we did have that women representatives is because even today, unfortunately, we have people, especially male politicians, who are still objectifying women in politics.
Yeah, and at that point, I will agree and support you because I think I have seen a governor
qualification that tunapewa women rep jueni mwanamke.
Are you a woman?
You are more qualified to be the president. Mbona tukupe kiti ya bure ati jueni mwanamke?
It's not kiti ya bure.
The only qualification you have, you are a woman.
Please tell us the roles of women
okay,
rep.
I think
be the president. We want you to be the president.
Tell me the role of women rep.
I want you to be the president. Not to be comfortable being a woman representative.
Who told you it's a comfortable position?
No.
The assumption.
Mimi nataka nikuempower. You fight where men wako. Unaona hapo kwa president. Pale anasema hawezi ingia. Nataka kuja bishane na mimi.
Okay.
Abishane na mimi tuone na.
What there is that partly tunaongea ukweli sisi wote that we should combine that number one, leadership roles, especially in the Republic or anywhere else in the world, should not be given with a criteria gender consideration. However, having noticed that I think there is a governor in a Mount Kenya county who's referred by the address, ito address kwa their native language.
Right.
But sasa tukuempower mtu kama huyo, unajua campaign against mtu kama huyo hatuwezi kukuita trouser, unaona. So kwa hiyo
That is it.
Hiyo in our disadvantage. However, going forward, I really think that we should relook at that so that we get good governance. It's not always about
May
equal. Okay. You may.
Please. The reason as to why women rep was put there in place at that time in 2010 was because Kina Millie Odhiambo were fighting for their spots since it was being kept from them. And when they had Charity Ngilu in as ministers and as MPs of Kitui, they were really trying to help. So they really mentored these ladies to tell them, you know what, fight for these seats, because at the moment we need at least a few representatives in terms of femicide cases, gender-based violence cases, and inequality in terms of pay, labor, Ministry of Labor.
At some point, I will
and
disagree
hygiene.
with you because
May I finish first?
Okay, you may.
Thank you. And once we are increasing right now, we're seeing more participation of women in politics, which is a very good sign. But then we're also seeing apathy in youths. So I'm pretty sure the next time that we'll have talking about, constitution reformation and all that stuff, we'll be talking about youth representatives taking the seats. You see what I'm talking about? I'm simply saying that it was needed, still needed, but can be reduced to get more youths so that because of these financial issues,
it was a progressive
we are identifying,
mechanism.
Yes, exactly. That's the issue of feminism. You look at the issue, find the gap, and then look for another problem or continue to the next problem. And that is what Mr. Latta is not understanding.
Okay, Kimathi, let me bring... I want to contextualize the whole idea. The first thing is that even in the last presidential election, I think it was which side? The Azimio tried. They tried their level best kuhakikisha at least they have a deputy.
On a running mate.
Mwenye ni mwanamke. Lakini kitu interesting, na ni mwanamke aliniambia, hataki kuona mwanamke akifika pale juu kabisa. Na ni mwanamke ananiambia hivyo, unaona? That's why hadi wanawake hawachagui wanawake, alafu wanataka wanaume wa support wanawake. Unaona?
No, what I will support from Latta's point
voters
of view.
Wengi wanakuanga wanawake. Lakini unaangalia votes watu wengi wenye wanapata kura ni wanaume. Who is it to blame? Na wenye wako na kura wengine kina nani? Ni wanawake.
Yeah, a leadership or electoral position tusiweke kwa story agenda. We choose you because you are a leader.
Yeah.
Munyiva, if you are a better leader than Latta, we should get you that seat.
Kuja pishana seat kuwa president.
However, there should be mechanisms to make sure that you and that him and her get positions on a much fair ground.
Thank you.
Having mentioned that, I think we could all conclude with our different POVs is that the GBV conversation is something that we should all have our best foot forward to fight. But I want us to mention one thing we did mention. We've mentioned kids and youth, and owing to the fact that this is the Child Justice Awareness Month, and that we have the pleasure of having the president of Wakili wa Watoto, UN Parklands, we could mention something about the kids with relation to GBV and any other thing. Yeah? What do you guys think?
So, first and foremost, as we were at Mathare Children's, at the beginning of this month, we are launching the Child Justice Month, which is November. We were privileged to have the Lady Justice Madheka, who she is the chairperson of the NCAJ, the National Commission on Administrative Justice. So we were there to talk about children who have undergone the GBV. They were able to explain to us. And the judiciary has structures in place that are able to take these matters. We just don't listen to the ideas, but we are able to channel them, to the right procedures. Unajua wengine walikuwa wanasema amebakwa na anko yake ni nini. So kuna vile hawezi ongeleo maneno, unaona? Na ni anko unapea utaki afungue, unaona? So we were also trying to understand their point of view before upeleke tu kila kitu kotini, unaona? You also need to talk to them because they also need mtu anawaelewa, you need to be in their feet first of all. So as wakili wa watoto, it's a global nini. We are working closely with the judiciary and we are trying to reach out to everyone, including the children. But that's why tunaitwa wakili wa watoto. So kama sisi, kama wakili wa watoto UN, tuko na next Saturday, 29th, tukimaliza hii November, we are going to visit a certain children's home, be able to educate them also on their rights and also be able to advise them accordingly for wale wenye wameweza kupitia the GBV. So there are a lot that we are trying to do, but tuna admit kuna implementation gaps hapa na pale zinatulemea, but we are trying our best. to be the voice of the voiceless. Basically, that's what Wakili Watoto is about. We are speaking for the children who have undergone all this, but they are not able to speak for themselves. Unaona? We come into, tunaoffer pro bono services, free legal work. Tunawambia sisi tutawasimamia. Tunajua nyinyi hamna mtu yoyote wakili kwenyu, hakuna mtu anaweza wasimamia. Sisi tuko hapa tunasimama na nyinyi, unaona? That's what we are trying to do, and we have reached very many places. I've told you we have been in Mathare, tumekuwa huko rehabilitation center Kirigiti, tumekuwa pia inaitwaje Kabete. So basically tumejaribu ku outreach hizi places zote, but kuna vitu mingi bado zinaendelea. So it's a systemic issue that we are trying to reform.
That's very promising, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think on Child Justice Awareness Month, it reminds me of the issue with the BBC documentary that we had earlier this year on, how children are being used as sex slaves.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask Wakili, how far are you guys in terms of petition? Did you have any interaction with their cases in terms of, and the response from CS Interior Kipchumba Murkomen, who say that they are paid and they are already old enough right now?
It's unfortunate,
and yet these girls were 12 years and 8 years.
I was very disappointed with those statements from the CS. And he's a member of the bar. He's one of us. He's a member of the LSK, and all I can say is that those people are paid and everything. Although we will leave the investigative agencies to do their work, but it doesn't have to be dismissed just entirely at that point. They need to have a systemic, an approach where even if it has not occurred, it should not happen even in future.
Yeah, because a child under 18 is not even viable, cannot even consent, or even contract, because tunasema matters money have been involved. So having mentioned that, we could all conclude that even with regards to GBV, we could all correct that at the kid level. If we could get the little ones and children in school to know that is as much as a challenge as corruption is, that should be it. So thank you so much for showing up, guys. Thank you so much to our viewers for tuning in at the Exchange Podcast. My name is Kimathi, and this is the Exchange Podcast. We have had a very exciting conversation around becoming the change we want to see. You can like, share, comment on our content across various social media platforms to empower us, empower you, and give you good content. So until next time, kwaheri and asante sana.